in New Orleans, which didn't really come from a necessarily musical household per se. I have a few like musician like family members like my uncle Nanny plays like a couple different instruments. My cousin, she sings for like churches and stuff. But yeah, from New Orleans originally, moved here due to Katrina, and yeah, been doing music since I was like 12, and it's just been a constant ride since then.
Do you have any brothers, sisters?
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to say
You're good.
that. So yeah, I have 3 older brothers. I'm the youngest of 4. And yeah, my oldest brother is like 18 years older than me. It's funny how that happened. But, yeah, we're pretty cool. See them from time to time.
Was it tough growing up with 3 siblings older than you?
Not necessarily. It was kind of like a situation where like we're gonna toughen you up, like whatever that means. But no, we're all like in the same household, except for like my oldest brother. But yeah, like we watch the same movies, listen to the same music. That's why I actually got a lot of influence from music, from them. Whether it's like rap or like just different genres of music they were always playing. So yeah, so I take a lot of inspiration.
Yeah. Was there any movie that particularly like stood out to you when you were young?
So we used to watch a lot of like Disney movies. So like Aladdin, Little Mermaid. Then we'll watch like CB4, Lion King. Well, CB4 is not Disney, but I'm just listing off movies. So we'll watch all like it's like a Rolodex. We'll watch them every day. Quote them. Yeah, those movies at the top of my head.
Yeah. That's not bad.
For sure.
Movies are fun.
Yeah, like those like 4 movies in particular, like I said, we watch them every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Was there one sibling that liked the music or the videos more so? Or were they all, for the most part, like, oh yeah, we all like movies? Or was it you who was pushing to watch
No,
movies?
I wish I could claim and say, yeah, it was me. But no, it's just like kind of mutual thing. Like, yo, like, just walk in the room and someone's watching Little Mermaid or something like, or walk in the room and someone's watching, I don't know, Lion King. And a lot of like the music, I guess the musical aspects of it kind of bled into what I do now. Like writing, like I used to write the songs like on paper. I guess that's kind of how it got like structured down, I guess. But yeah, just got really like the songs, so I write the lyrics out on paper.
It's kind of cool to hear that because I feel like I used to do similar stuff. And I'd like listen to TV shows, watch movies, whatever, and it'd be like scripted out, you know, before they had like Rap Genius or, you know, whatever those those websites that have the quotes. You're like, no, I gotta memorize this, I gotta go to school, and I gotta show this off.
Exactly. So it's like you write it out, and like, okay, I can actually sing. Like, at the time I was like in choir and stuff. I was like, okay, cool. You know, I'm actually singing the songs.
How was choir?
How was it? I mean, I wasn't in there too long, but it was cool. I wasn't, because my uncle was like the music director, and so like, you know, he had us sing church songs, random songs. So yeah.
That sounds like fun. Was it for school or for the most part it was
So,
like church?
So we had like a summer camp that we would go to, and at the summer camp, like you have like everybody, so they have like everyone like singing and stuff like that, and we'll go to like different places and like sing outside of like camp. We'll always like meet up throughout the year. A lot of fun.
It sounds like a lot of fun. I feel like there's a lot of character building that kind of comes with that when you're young.
Definitely so, because I wouldn't necessarily say I was like a nervous kid to come to like singing in front of people. I guess I got kind of leads over to again what I do now. Like I don't get nervous performing and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's a job. I just be like, okay, you just gotta do this.
Mhm.
That's it.
Right. Have you ever had a moment where you were like, oh man, I'm a little bit nervous for this particular one?
Like performance.
Mm-hmm. It could be childhood, could be grownhood.
Grownhood.
I was like, I hope you didn't catch that.
I think it was like in 3rd grade. Like I remember. Oh, there's two instances. One was at school, and my teacher made me ask this person a question on stage. So I get up on stage, ask this person. I can't even remember what the question was. I don't even know the words. I think it was like science related. And yeah, and I was really nervous. I don't know why. I'm just asking a question. But I guess it's just like I didn't know what I was going to ask. I wasn't prepared, so it probably led to me being nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And also like for like church, we used to have like plays, and they would always tell me I have to be in a play. I don't want to be in a play. So I'm always in a play. Easter Sunday or something like. I was like, I don't want to do this, but again, I guess that led to me acting and all that type of stuff. Yeah, that too. So shout out to the church. Shout out to my teacher that made me ask those questions. That question.
Mm-hmm. I'm imagining the whole church like doing the whole shebang and being like, dude, I don't even want to be here.
Yeah, like you gotta memorize these lines and you got to deliver the lines.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's bad, everyone's gonna clap because they're a kid. It's just like, go ahead, baby, and then they clap.
And you're just like, man, I tanked this. Why y'all make me do this?
That was like bad. Not even me, even like other people. Like, man, that was terrible. You didn't rehearse. You didn't rehearse, man. You didn't rehearse.
I could see your friends coming back from their like little take and you being like, yo, that sucks.
I mean, it's just
I'm
like,
just kidding.
it wasn't even like that. It was just like, because afterwards it's like, okay, we can go play on our Game Boy Advance. Like, it was never like, no one ruminated over the bad performance.
That's good.
Like just 7,
Yeah.
8. Like, it was like, okay,
Whatever. I had one instance where I kind of ruminated a little bit. I was going to Greek school because I wanted to learn how to like write in Greek and stuff. My mom was like, I don't know how to do this. So I was like, okay, cool. And so they would do like performance nights for Greek kids in like Greek school. And I remember they'd be like, okay, now we're going to sing the national anthem. And I'm like, dude, like, yeah, it was like the Greek anthem, I guess. And I was like, no one taught this in the class. So there was like 40 kids on the stage.
So
they're all singing it. Yeah, it was me.
I used to do that in choir too. I used to make it look like I was singing. That's funny.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what the hell we're singing. And like, they were just like, go ahead, come on. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going with the
You're like, when do we learn this? This is never in the syllabus. Like, what week did we did I miss a day? Like, yo.
I had no idea. And somehow all the other kids knew it. So I was like, I don't know what I missed. Maybe my mom didn't take me to rehearsal. Like, I have no idea. But I was definitely like, I remember leaving and being like, what the hell was that? You know? Like,
that's funny. That's really funny.
So I can relate to those being character building and just like,
Definitely character building, you know? Definitely.
What a mess. What a mess. I was going to touch back on one of the points that you made a little earlier. You were saying that having older brothers kind of, they try and toughen you out, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Is there an instance that stands out in your head where you're like, yeah, they really tried on this one?
Wow, this is going to get kind of dark.
Oh, no.
Okay. So, one in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know how to word this, but I'll just say it.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of my brother's friends, I think I was maybe like 6, maybe 7. One of the guys in the neighborhood, he had got killed. And I was curious. I was like he would know. My brother's 8 years older than me, so if I was 6 or 7, he was like 14, 15. And I was like, yo, like, how does a bullet feel when you get hit? He was like this. And he punched me in my stomach.
Oh man.
I was just like, you couldn't explain it? Like, yeah, you couldn't explain it? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
That does
Why?
not. Yeah. That
I
sounds
still don't know
really
how it
painful.
feels. I
Yeah.
still don't know how it feels. That's just unresolved question, unresolved answer.
Wind is knocked out of you as a 7-year-old. Oh
Like,
my
It's
gosh.
ridiculous, man.
Kids really don't think though. They're like, yeah, it's like, well, technically, how does the brother know too?
He don't know either. So it's just like, why do you think his fist would know? Like, come on, man.
Oh my god.
There's other things they used to do to me, I guess. Because I was a young one.
Mm.
I'm like, I didn't have control over this.
Right.
Go talk to the people in the kitchen. I didn't have nothing to do with this.
It's a sibling thing for sure.
But yeah, that instance came to mind for sure. Yeah, anyone, they knew that I was able to protect myself and stuff like that. So it's never really like I was like getting bullied or anything. That was never a case. It was just more so just like because of the environment we're in, it's like anything can happen at any moment. You just need to be prepared for that if it does happen.
Mm-hmm. And what do you mean by environment? Just
So yeah, growing up in New Orleans, especially during that time, like in the '90s, it was like really bad. It's really bad now, but like then it was like the murder capital of America, and so many people were like dying, getting killed by drive-bys or just different sections of this small city. Everybody's like, hey, like you're from this part, like you killed my cousin 2 weeks ago, so I'm gonna kill you, your family. It's a whole cycle. And so, yeah, this has been a really interesting and weird situations being there. That's why even when I go now, it's like I'm very like hyper vigilant when I go down there. It's like I don't know, it's like almost like a PTSD type situation where it's like anything happen at any moment, you just kind of got to be aware. And so, yeah, that's why it'd be funny. Like friends be like, "Oh, let's go to New Orleans." I'm like, "That's cool. Like, you sure you want to go? Especially like to the places I go. Like, how is it's not the rule."
do you feel like it's gotten any better in recent years?
I don't know, because I'm not as glued in as I was when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
But I hear certain things because I still have family down there, so I hear certain things from being down there, but I wouldn't be able to tell you. I'm assuming that it's bad.
Yeah. That's an interesting city. I've only been there once, and there's like it's an ominous vibe. I don't know. Even in just going through like the touristy parts, it's a very like. I guess maybe because I think about Katrina specifically.
Yeah.
I'm just like like this was all water. Like this was, ugh.
I think that it's like the violence aside. I think the flip side of all of that, the flip side of the negative, the positive is that like the people down there, they treat you like your family, like the love that they embrace for just anyone, right? Because even boiling down to when it comes to like sexuality, like it's just like for the most part people don't care because a lot of the local artists, like big local artists, are trans. So it's like
Wow.
it's like it's accepting of all. And it's funny, I was thinking about this recently, which was like when I was there, like people in the neighborhood, like they embraced the things that I liked and the nuanced things that I like, and they never looked at me any different than them. But when I came up here, it's like people are like, oh, you're different. You're like this and this and that. I'm like, dang, like I was just back at home and people, shooting dice and I'm like playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards and like they didn't call me X, Y, and Z. So why are you calling me X, Y? It's weird. It's a very weird juxtaposition.
Yeah. What age did you have to come over here?
I came here when I was 11 and I was just about to turn 12.
Okay.
So that was what, 7th grade.
Were you guys in New Orleans when Katrina happened?
No, it was my uncle already lived up here in Houston, and also like my aunt's best friend. So we went to Mississippi first because my mom's side of the family is from, they lived there. And so we went there, we stayed really back there, and then from there, my dad was like, we can't stay here, man. We can't stay in Mississippi. So we came to Houston. And then, because again, the familiarity of it, because he went to school here, and my uncle went to school here, my aunt went to school here. So it's like, came here, we've been here since.
Man. Was it an easy adjustment for the kids and then your mom, since your mom wasn't from here?
I mean, it was pretty, you learn to adapt and assimilate. So it's, for, my brothers were already here because they were going to TSU. So I was in 7th grade, so it was just me, my mom, and my dad. So we came up here and it's different because, I want to say this to be true, but I don't think my mom had a license until she moved up here.
Wow.
Because New Orleans is a transient city. So it's like, you get on the bus, get on a streetcar, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was taking public transportation in 7th grade, 6th grade, Like, I would walk to school. School was like a mile and a half, almost 2 miles away. And I would walk to school every day.
Wow.
So it's not, you can't really do that here.
Yeah.
Unless you live like in the inner city. But like, if you live on the outskirts of the inner city, it's like, you have to have a car.
Yeah.
So that was an adjustment for her, but like, everything outside of that, it was just like, I guess we're here now, so gotta make the most out of it.
Yeah. I've heard some stories with kids. I never had to really move too much, and I think like whenever I did move, it was like, okay, it's kind of more so my choice between schools as opposed to like my parents being like, oh, you have to. But even hearing Sean or other people, it's like those are sometimes really pivotal. Like they just hurt sometimes having to move friends, family, stuff like that.
Yeah, I was at least for me, like I was really initially. I was like, okay, I guess we're going back. Because all my life up to that point, we've experienced like hurricanes and, it's like, okay, I guess we'll be back next week. We never put back. So, because our house was pretty much destroyed, so wasn't nowhere to go back to. And I just think it's, the irony of it is that happened in August. We're already like in the process of moving. We're gonna move from where we were staying at my whole life. We're gonna move to like a better part of, not better part of the city, but like a safer part of the city. Like in November, like 2-3 months away from moving, and that happened.
Wow.
I just think that's really ironic.
Wow.
So I was about to move anyway. So.
But still, it's like, oh man, that's. Katrina was something else. I just remember seeing kids in my class coming in and being like, yeah, you got 6 new kids, It's like, oh, okay, Yeah,
it was very much so an adjustment period for a lot of people coming from New Orleans to here because the culture is completely different. I think obviously since now we've all kind of assimilated together and like restaurants, they're like fusions of Houston and New Orleans.
For sure.
Yeah, so it's just like it was different, especially like the mentality coming from there to here. It was a lot of clashing, right? So it's like you come from a place that's very territorial from like smaller sections to a bigger place to where it's very also territorial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's also funny too. Like I remember like being a kid, like crip walking and stuff like that. Like I didn't really think much of it, but I didn't really understand like gang culture until I got here because it wasn't prevalent in where I lived. Like no one was a blood or a crip, like or a GB or anything like that. Like no one was just like, oh, this is like where we stay. This is where our family always stayed, like generation after generation. So I know your grandma because your grandma knows my aunt. She watched my aunt grow up, and I know the people across the street because that's my cousin. And it's just like,
wow.
That's kind of like how it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like gang culture wasn't necessarily prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
At least like where I live, like on the east side, there like bloods there, but I didn't see that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was gonna ask next. Is like when you came here, did you come straight to where your parents?
Yeah.
are?
Okay. Yeah. So sorry, I skipped over that. So
No,
we're in
you're okay.
Mississippi, and then we moved to Houston a couple of days later,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, that was the process. What was the question?
No, I was just gonna say, like, when you guys came here, did you guys basically go to where your parents are now?
No. So we moved so we stayed with my aunt for about a month. Well, she lived in Sugar Land.
Oh, nice.
And I went to Dallas. And so after about a month or so, we moved to an apartment. It's across the street from Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stayed there all of 7th grade. And we moved first semester of 8th grade. Yeah. I think it was like October 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, dang, like I have all my friends now. They moved there. And that's where I met all my friends that I have now. I don't talk to those people anymore.
It's funny how that works, huh?
Yeah. One of them is actually kind of like there's a pretty big audience on Instagram. It's
Yeah.
cool. Pretty cool. So I'm like, yeah, I had class with you. So yeah. Interesting to see how you got to this part.
Right.
Yeah.
Man,
All led up to this moment.
it did. So when you got here, you're in new environment, kind of adjusting to the people. What was a point that maybe you started to see that, okay, I'm finding myself, this is who I kind of am, and I'm cool with who I am?
I feel like I've always had a strong like self-concept because again, it's like the people I was around growing up, they allowed me to be who I was. So it's never was like a case where like I had to go against the grain and like, you know, like I was into different things. And people was like, okay, that's simple, you know? It's like so I've always, like I said, I always had this strong self-concept. So moving here is just like I've always just been the same person. And just that was basically it. I mean, I've grown in different areas, but for the most part, as me, I've always been the same person. Goofy, you know, laugh. I don't know, just been the same person.
Which is good.
So it's never was really like a turning point, like, I've discovered who I am. This is who I am. This is natural progression. You have to adjust it accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Were your parents pretty good with that too, like growing up?
Not really. Because I'm just so much different than my other brothers, and like, it's like some of my interests are like, yeah. Like for example, like I wanted to play soccer when I was a kid.
Wow.
There's no soccer at all where I grew up. Like there was no place where you would think about playing soccer. And my dad was like, nah, like, you gotta play football. And I played football. We won the state championship and I quit. I was like, I don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And, but yeah, it's just like certain things. Except for martial arts. Like, my dad was really like, like, you have an interest in that? Because we would watch, like, Bruce Lee movies and stuff like that. And so, like, that was like the only thing. But other stuff, they were like, nah. Even like music. Like, my dad was like, nah. He still kind of feels that way, but that is what it is.
As parents.
I think more so he's accepting of it now where, like, I send him with the little stuff that I've done. I'm like, oh, yeah, look at this.
Nice. It takes time sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's like, you want the best for your kid, but I think the best parenting style is, like, allowing the kid to be who they are. Because if you don't, it comes with tension and conflict, especially if the person or the kid has a strong self-concept and they're like, no, like, I'm right, I know this is what I want to do. But if you're a parent, it's like, nah, you want to be a doctor, a lawyer. It's like, no, that's where money is, sure, but like, that's not where happiness is.
Right.
So it's like, whatever your kid or child, whatever they have an affinity for, nurture that. Don't cast it to the side. So, I guess is what they try to do for me. It didn't work.
Sounds like you were the kid who was very, very, self-confident?
Yeah.
So to speak?
Yeah, I was like, nah, I'm right. I know, this is what I want to do. I've always been like that.
It's a good thing, though.
It comes with conflict, but hey.
It does.
You can be mad. I'm not going to be mad.
Yeah. It's tricky. A lot of kids go through that, for sure. Especially with parents who have kind of grown up in a certain kind of way.
Yeah, it's like, your generation is different. Y'all are bred on survival. Like, you have to do things to survive. Like, I don't have kids. Like, I'm not married. Like, I only have this myself. So it's like, if I have a stable job, I can do whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Right.
Like, I don't have to abide by the rules of survival. Like, you had to go work 2 jobs, work at these jobs for 20 years. Like, no, I have no desire to do that at all.
Right. It's an interesting point, though, that you make. It's like the point of survival almost. It's like, yeah, that is a thing. It's like they had to make money. They had a family. They had bills. They had this, that, the other. And it's like, we have bills too, things that we got to do, whatever. But there's a different turn that we kind of feel, I think, in our generation of like, nah, but like, we got to do what we got to do,
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people that's like, look, I don't even want to have kids.
Yeah.
And I know that comes with, like, situations from their parents. And, like, that's their choice. They want kids. Like, hey, who cares?
Right. You're saying that you don't want kids, or
no, not me. I just know people that,
like,
I don't want kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to bring them into this world.
Mm-hmm.
I totally get it. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, I do want kids one day, but far in the future if I can help it. But yeah, like, I gotta say, hey, this being here is great, but the trajectory where we're going, I don't want to put my kid through that. So I can understand why someone would be like, yeah, because I feel like a lot of people have kids for, at least like older people, like, you need to have a kid so you can be there, teach them basketball. Like, that's the only reason. So you want to accrue another life, have to attend to this person, like, make sure that their development is right. Make sure that I'm doing and saying the right things.
Mm-hmm.
They can help them grow. So I can play basketball with them? Really? No.
It's definitely things like that. I've also heard, like, oh yeah, you gotta have kids because, like, you gotta have, like, these things that look like you, It's like, wait, what? Or like, I want to pass my genes on, and I'm like, what makes your genes better than anybody else's?
I don't know. And it's just like, I get it. Again, it comes from a place of survival. It's like,
Yeah.
you want to extend their lineage.
Yeah.
I get it.
Right.
Everybody feels the same way.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I feel like those are archaic ideas of what it's like to be a person. Is conflicting with how things should or could be in the present. You know, it's like those ideas from like the 70s, 80s. They're still like prevalent today, but it doesn't work today because our generation, the kid generation after us, they're definitely trying to make a change. They're trying to get all these old people out of it, and so, which I'm definitely all for it because it's like we need to progress in some way or fashion. I think we're making small steps towards it. So that's why our generation and generation after is really important because we're making change. A lot of these old people are still trying to make these rules on the way out. Like, all right, I'm about to die next year, but I'll make this rule like basically like you don't have autonomy over your body anymore. It's like, yo, who are you to make these rules? Like,
It's true. It's a very weird concept that people even want to have those types of like powers over people. You know?
I don't get it. It's like you literally have legislation built off of the idea of like what women can do with their bodies. You're not even a woman. Like, what?
Right. It's an interesting concept when you think about like a country that's kind of built on the idea of like a freedom of speech, a freedom of religion, a freedom of all those things. It's like a lot of these things seem to kind of they're counterintuitive, you know?
Yeah, it's freedom under your control.
Right. That's a good way to put it.
That's all it is. It's like, okay, it's like you're stuck in a box, right? You're free to roam the box, but you're still stuck in a box.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some ways you think that we can assist in that and like making it a little bit better in that regard?
Well, from my perspective, it's just like, it's such a macro question.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's like, it's so many ways that you can start off from, like school systems, like more funding for that, taking funds away from unnecessary things like going to space, and putting that into the school systems, you know, eliminating college debt. Like I shouldn't have to, before I even get a job, be thousands of dollars in debt. Like I can't even rent a car, but I have X amount of debt. So it's like, I don't think that's fair. That also like policing women's bodies, like all these type of legislations trying to go into that, like it's just, I think ways of change is really just like really challenging and trying to get all of these archaic laws and ideologies like, out of there. Like, you gotta be out of there because it's the only way we can progress. Something that I see.
Do you feel a sense of optimism moving forward?
Yeah, like I said, I feel like I'm pretty optimistic. I feel like we're making those strides and doing better. But it's just like certain things, it's like, I don't know. Certain things remind me of like, yo, we're still stuck. Like, especially what's going on right now, like with this whole COVID situation. We honestly, really and truly could have been done at least by the fall of last year. Like, we could have been good. You know, people have this false sense of freedom and identity that like, nah, because you blah blah blah, I'm not gonna do that. That's all we're having a conversation. I get it though, but we gotta do better. We can't be so selfish.
Yeah. It's true. A lot of heavy topics today.
Very much so. It's always like it. It's always just turns into heaviness.
Heaviness and stuff.
But at the end of the day, we got a lot to smile about, you know? It's like all my friends and family are healthy, you know, we're good, we're all progressing, you know. Making a good time on this plane of existence that we exist on right now. So I can't complain. But at the same time, we all could be doing better. Which we all striving for.
Right.
I would hope.
I would hope so as well. Moving forward, how are you feeling? What do we gotta do? I know you said a few different notes, you know, you're working on your music and stuff. Is there anything that people should look out for coming from you?
Been working on music. Been working on videos for the music, film stuff. Definitely have that, especially like next year for sure. Like, definitely see a few projects that I'm working on. Season 2 of Something About Us for sure.
Nice.
That's like my baby. You know, it's definitely gonna be like the production and everything is gonna be even better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a few more other projects, and also just like honestly, just learning and just growing and taking things day by day. That's the only thing I can really do. So yeah, hopefully by the time you see this, I would have multiple projects, which I will. So.
I like that. I like that a lot. Focusing more so on the music or on the film, or maybe both?
As a recent memory, it's been more so music.
Nice.
The film stuff is gonna come. It's just like I have to have. I'm working on the budget for things. The ideas are already there. Just have to write them out. This is like ideas I've been having over the last year or so. Since I released the last season. So like getting things in order, getting the budget right to where it's when you see it, it's like, okay, this is gonna make sense as to why this took longer than I guess need be. But yeah, it's all for the cause I can do it right now, but it just won't be to the vision that I see it at.
Of course.
So it's like renting out spaces and hiring X, Y, and Z. The budget ain't there right now, but it's gonna be, like, for sure, I promise, by next summer.
Yeah.
Definitely. All of this stuff is gonna be out, and you actually be like, wow, he said this. I told you.
Of course.
I told you.
But there's a will, there's a way, or however that saying goes, you know? Sometimes it seems kind of tough, and you're like, how is this gonna work? How am I gonna pull this budget? But it's like, once you start opening yourself up to it, you never know how it pans out, but it's gonna pan out, you know?
For sure. Yeah, that's the part. I'm like, I don't even stress over it. I'm like, it's like, okay, it's gonna happen, and I know it's gonna happen because I see it.
Right.
It'd be a different story if I didn't see it. I see it, see how everything is like laid out, and yeah, it's gonna be everyone going, wow, you did it. I told you. I told you. Even like people that I already told people like that's going to be a part of like the different episodes. I'm like, yo, this is the concept, this is everything. Like, I just want you to know. So whenever I start to shoot it, you would know. You already been casted. Don't worry about it. Just trust me. That's all. Just trust me.
Yeah.
I have not let you down.
Yeah. You're one of our many friends who are very consistent. The things that they say that they want to do, they do. Yeah. It's always nice to have those types of people around that are like, I'm going to do it. And then they do it, you know?
Yeah, because before even saying it out loud, I just already thought of it.
Of course.
Declared that it's going to happen. So me telling you is just like, my mind is already made up. It's just a matter of when. So music stuff right now, really working on that. Working with different people.
Nice.
That's been really like helping me to really get to where I'm trying to go, like musically.
Mhm.
So
It's always good to incorporate new people.
yeah, no, definitely. It's just like the feelings are always mutual too. It's just like, yo, like I really like your stuff. Like, oh, I really like your stuff. Okay, let's see what we can come up with. No pressure, no anything.
Mhm.
It's been working out really good. There's a lot of people I actually want to work with on the music side,
Nice.
like locally and like different artists that I'm really fans of.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so we're working on
I'm excited. I'm
excited
excited for what's
too.
to come.
it. I'm excited too. Like, I got something coming up really soon.
Mhm.
Just gotta finish up one section of this thing. And I'm gonna happen.
I love it. Well, thank you for this little interview today, Mr. Langston.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for interviewing me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Langston Hunter, all one word, LANGSTON, HUNTER on Instagram. On Twitter, it's at like Nagi, so at LANYAGI. Don't follow me on Facebook. Well, you can follow me, but don't add me on Facebook. That's weird. Like, I don't want to see Joe from Wisconsin trying to add me. You can follow the page, but don't. Yeah. YouTube, Langston Hunter. Yeah, Apple Music, Spotify, all of those places, Langston Hunter. I try to keep it really simple. Only part I made it really difficult was Twitter.
You gotta have that curveball at them, you know?
Yeah, throw a curveball